How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, all good. How you doing?
I'm all right. I was surprised by the amount of snow outside this morning.
Yeah, we've had nothing. We've had
Really?
absolutely nothing down here. Yeah.
God, yeah, we've hardly had anything through like the past few weeks with, you know, the rest of the country getting a lot of snow. But suddenly I woke up this morning and the car and van's covered and the driveway's covered.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, a bit of a surprise. How have you how have you been keeping with everything going on at the moment?
Uh, yeah, I've been all right. Not really much to do. Um, been in the studio a bit. It's tough to keep the real motivation up when there's no shows or anything around, and all we're doing is live streaming and that. And uh, yeah, just the music that's being streamed in the way of trance isn't really our style.
Right.
So like it's all changed. It's all gone down tempo and a bit more melodic, and
Yeah.
that's what's sort of bringing in the numbers at the moment. So
Right.
yeah, it's been a weird one. It's been a real weird one. But we got a puppy just before Christmas, so
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
been keeping me busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's keeping me busy, which is good.
That's class, that is, because I've been wanting to get a dog for ages, man, and more than ever, this is like ample time to really do it because they
Yeah.
say that you need the time and the attention for the dog in the
Mate,
early
it's
years.
so time consuming.
So. Really?
Yeah, it's next level time consuming.
Oh Jesus.
Uh it's like having a child.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I've heard.
Yeah,
My mate was telling me because he's had one a couple of years now, and I was saying to him like I'd love to have one. He was like, mate, just just know that it's like having a kid and be
yeah,
prepared.
yeah. Getting up at night and making sure they go into the toilet and stuff,
Really?
and yeah, because they can't hold their bladder for a long period of time.
Right, right.
So you have to make sure that during the night they go, otherwise they wet the bed and stuff. So
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
same as a child, mate.
Wow, bloody hell. Have you been working at all, like
No,
through this thing, or nah? Not at
no,
all.
no,
No.
not at all. Tennis clubs are shut, so like my main source of income is completely done, completely closed. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean it's been good because I've been able to spend time with Bella and that. But yeah,
Have you been able to work like the past year with like? Has there been any
mm,
breaks or?
yeah, I did. During the first lockdown, there was nothing, um, and I then worked solidly for like 6 months,
Hmm.
like really good. We had that really nice summer, and then I had the second lockdown. I didn't work for, was it 4 weeks or 6 weeks, something like that, and then worked again, and then I haven't worked since before Christmas. So yeah, it's brutal at the moment,
Up and
real
down like a
brutal.
fucking yo-yo, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's probably the biggest pain in the ass more than anything is the fact that it fucks with your work diary.
yeah,
Because many people know who are self-employed or whatever. If you normally organise your diary in a certain way, when
yeah.
something like this happens and completely mucks it up, it's a real pain in the ass to try and organise your diary each time.
Every time, yeah, get started again, like getting the business going again. It's just,
Absolute nightmare. But I said to one of the lads that I've spoke to before, and I say it to everybody. Me personally, I'm quite an optimistic person, so I think by the end of the year we should see definitely some normality again.
mate, I'd like to think that by summer,
Yeah,
hopefully we can have something
yeah.
normal back.
Well, I was thinking, yeah,
Yeah,
but
hopefully cream fields can happen. Come on, come
oh,
on.
mate, if that could happen, uh, ah, yeah, I'll milk cows for the rest of the year at the farmer's place. Whatever it takes, I'll do it. So you can take that wherever you want. But the first thing I want to start with then is what was sort of the first thing in life, musically, that impacted you? So like maybe when you was really young, you had like a song or like a moment, a place where you might have been.
Okay. So it wasn't when I was really young, but the first event that I went to, like proper event that I went to, was Tiesto at Victoria Park. This was in 2009. So this is when he was still making trance and that, before he came into sort of more of the EDM scene. But supporting him was this guy that nobody had heard of, and it was Tim Berg. This was
Oh
before he was
wow!
like actually Avicii, okay?
Oh yeah.
And it was his first time playing in London. There was this. It would have been at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Uh-huh.
There was about 200 people there at the stage,
Wow.
and we were just like, "Who is this guy? This is class." And we researched him, found out who he was, and then we saw his first like Avicii song, and that's kind of when that was sort of the moment when I really sort of fell in love with dance music. Like I'd had sort of like Dave Pearce trance anthems and stuff, and we used to put on like dance compilations and stuff on the radio and stuff. But yeah, that was the first sort of real big moment, I would say, for me in terms of dance music, was seeing Avicii before he was Avicii. And then obviously Tiesto was class as well. And yeah, that was kind of it for me. That's when I first really started getting into dance music.
That's incredible. That is.
Yeah, mate, it was
Wow. Yeah, because
nuts.
you've got probably the earliest sort of origin story you could say out of anybody that I've spoke to at the moment. Um, yeah, wow, Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
2009. Wow. Yeah, because my my first introduction to him wasn't Avicii either. It was Tim Berg. Because I don't know if you know, Hardwell did like the real Reveal Volume albums,
yeah,
the CDs. The very first one he did, he's got like 10 out now. But Volume 1 came out in like 2010, I think.
yeah,
And the very first track on that is Tim Berg, Norman DeRay, Sebastian Drums, Tweet It.
yeah. Tweet it,
What a track.
banger. Yeah,
What a
yeah,
track.
yeah. So
And,
that and My Feelings for You were the first two songs that we found,
mhm.
and we were just like, this is it. My Feelings for You is like my all-time favorite dance track.
Yeah, man.
Just nothing compares to it.
But yeah, because that whole album was like a similar vibe. Like I can't really explain what sort of style it was because it was all on that sort of similar
It's a
like
bit more housey, isn't it, than
yeah
the standard EDM?
yeah.
But
It
it's
weren't
like,
EDM in any way.
but it's evolving. You can see it starting to evolve into the sound that it is now.
Yes,
Whereas
yeah,
like with your standard house music, it's more like piano based, but not heavily synthesized. Whereas like their stuff is more processed, more synthesized, but still got that sort of house feel.
mm,
Whereas now, obviously, your EDM has progressed in a way that you don't really have such that sort of housey vibe, that more organic feel to it, do you?
mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, I know. I know exactly what you mean.
That's definitely something I recommend for everybody out there to sort of understand where dance music came from. A good education for people is to go and listen to that Reveal Volume 1 album
Yeah.
because you
See how
find tracks
everything's
like
evolved.
that. And also, like a lot of the other guys out there that were super early in their careers, like or I think maybe one of Tommy Trash's first tracks was on there,
Yeah.
things like that, and you just go, wow, and you just discover a lot from it. So from that, then, where did you go next? Then, how old would you have been at that point?
Well, I would have been 18 then. I think
Hmm.
that would have been my first real, yeah, glimpse into the world.
Okay, yeah.
And then, so from there, I did Tomorrowland,
What year was that
2012.
again? Oh, 2012.
Book,
Oh.
the book, yeah, the first real Tomorrowland that everyone knows about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and oh man, I did that stone cold sober.
Really?
Yeah, we were like, because it was so tough getting tickets. You know what it's like to get tickets, yeah. Like, and we didn't do Global Journey or anything. We just did like your regular tickets, and I think we had like 9 laptops open to try and get tickets,
Yeah.
and yeah, only one got through. We were like, we might not ever do this again, so let's try and remember everything.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I remember being in the middle of that main stage crowd on the first day watching Q Lines play.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I was like, man, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to be this side of the stage. I want to be that side of the stage. I want to be up there where they are, doing what they're doing. And I was like, right, so this is where I start. And yeah, that kind of got so I was obviously into the music beforehand, but that was the moment I think I realized that I wanted to be a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one. It's a weird Tomorrowland for me, that one, because obviously I was stone cold sober. That resonates with me hard. It was like, yeah, it was class. It was really class, and my music style was very different then. So like, I was very much into. I didn't see Armin when I was there. Tommy Trash was like the main person that we wanted to see.
Wow.
So he was class. Who else was playing at that one? I remember seeing bingo players on probably one of the smallest stages.
That was when it was still a duo, wouldn't it have been?
Yeah, it's when they were both around. Yeah. That was, the stage that has the dragon down the
Yeah.
far end. That used to be a tiny little like pier stage.
Right.
It was over the water, and you probably had like 200 people on it. And we had Adrian Lux playing before bingo players.
Wow.
That was a mad like 3 hours. Yeah, that was up there with probably the two top sets.
If you could ask any EDM fan, or any EDM fan could go back to a time, that would be it. Certainly for me,
100%.
is
100%.
Tomorrowland 2012. Jesus Christ! Like being able to see bingo players as a duo, being able to see Tommy Trash on the main stage. My God, what a time to be alive! Obviously, that was the biggest Hardwell main stage set ever.
Yeah.
Like on YouTube, that's still the biggest one by far, views wise. That was the one that really broke Tomorrowland into the mainstream almost.
We had Chucky as well on the main stage.
Wow.
Thomas Gold on the main stage.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I remember seeing the Chucky videos for that.
I think I saw Nicky Romero that year maybe like 7 times. Honestly, it was just a joke. Tomorrowland, Greenfields. I saw him at multiple times at Ministry of Sound. Saw him everywhere.
Wow.
So yeah, like that was, for me, that was like the main year that really got me into the idea of DJing and that. So yeah, that's sort of where my origins come from in terms of dance music.
So you had that year of like raving and whatnot. So where did the next step come in terms of going and picking up a piece of DJ equipment?
Yeah, so I had this real sort of dodgy piece of Behringer mixing kit. It was I can't even explain what it was. It was so basic and so trash, but I thought it was like the nuts. Um, and I probably had that for like a year, messing around with. It was just on Tractor, and I was learning. I don't think I even learned how to beat match. I was literally just syncing everything and just learning to transition. And I got bored pretty quick, but I didn't really have the money to buy anything better. So I was just making like mixes on that, and was making like my own mashups on it. And I had a few like supports on mashups and stuff, and was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So I thought, I kind of thought, what's the next step? How am I gonna start getting some shows from this? How do I go from messing around in my bedroom to playing shows? And there were a few people that were making mashups first, like Zach Edward, and you had Henry Fong. He started out making mashups, wasn't a producer. And they were, I'd say, like a couple of years ahead of where I was in terms of their progress. And I was like, they'd started making their own tracks. I was like, shit, I guess this is where you need to go next. Yeah, mashups isn't just going to cut it. Like, I need to start producing. So I got Logic in probably 2013 and started making music. And my God, it was shit. My music was so bad. But again, like my mixer, I thought it was the nuts. I was like, this is just unreal. I've found a couple of tracks recently, and I was like, God, how did I ever think this is any good? You spend a good few years of that sort of creative time making just tragic music. And it's it's tough. It was real tough. I think the first track that we really nailed was 3 years ago. It was a dream. So I started, like I said, I first got Logic in 2013. 3 years ago, yeah. It took me 4 years or 5 years to really get somewhere.
Wow.
To really get like the sounding crisp, sounding good, sounding clean.
Yeah. Someone I spoke to the other day was talking to me about producing and how they sort of had just years and years of just making stuff that they weren't happy with. But we kind of talked about the 10,000 hour rule. I don't know if you've ever heard about that.
Yeah.
Obviously, that applies to almost anything in life.
Everything, yeah.
Producing, DJing, any kind of work whatsoever. You almost need to hit that 10,000 mark before you, become really, really, really good at it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but what? Because I've always sort of wondered, what was the transition between EDM? Because obviously, when you went to Tomorrowland in 2012, the main thing by far at that time was, your show tech, hard rock through Tiesto, the big room EDM stuff. What made you go from that to more trance orientated?
Well, I've always loved trance. And I still do love EDM. I'm still making your more like progressive house. So I had a release under my own Gollo brand, not the GXD brand. I had one a couple of weeks back on Thomas Gold's label, which is sort of like your progressive house kind of Nicky Romero kind of vibes. I don't know. I just tell you what, it was a Marlowe track that I just was really, really enjoying at the time, and I tried to make a similar bass line. And I reached out to LV to write the vocals for this track, and it was slightly more trancey. I wouldn't even say that the genre we make is that trance.
No,
It's trance. It's under trance. We fall under the trance brand purely because I guess the labels that we release on are trance labels.
It's a
but
similar
it's
thing to like
more main stage trance. Yeah. So it is like a merge of kind of EDM and trance, really. And yeah, I made that song, and I got Daily involved, and GXD became a brand because of that song. The initial process of that song wasn't to form GXD and to form like a trance duo. It was just to make music. I just wanted to make a song, and I wanted a vocalist on a track because I thought it would get me a better recognition. It would get more traction than just an instrumental. It'd be easier for a label to pick me up because they think, oh, this guy's invested in this song. Yeah, there's something behind this song, rather than it just being a melody. So that, yeah, we kind of, the trance just happened. It wasn't necessarily planned. It just happened. But it happened for a good reason. Yeah, it's, everything that has happened through GXD has been brilliant, and it was definitely the right decision to go down that route. And yeah, that's kind of where the trance production came from. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't not love trance. I do love trance, and I still love making that EDM sound. But the trance that we have made, the trance, is doing well for us.
Yeah, the marketing move was clearly smart, because, like I say, since you went from just purely Gollo to then GXD as well, that's, I think, really helped you guys grow, and get more ears and more eyes on yourselves. Because I think something that a lot of lads seem to miss out on, lads and ladies in the industry, is an impactful name, a memorable name. Something that people, they'll listen to your track, they'll maybe see it on Spotify or whatever, and as they're going around in the car and see the name quickly, you want to have a memorable name. And some people, they just have the most basic names or whatever. Yeah. You got to make sure that it stands out and it's memorable. You got to give yourself as much advantage as possible in an
branding
industry.
Branding is just as important, if not more important, than the music itself. Yeah. Branding and marketing, geez, it's a little depressing that there's more to it than just the music. Yeah, like back in the day, before sort of social media and stuff, it was all about the music, and if you had good music, people would find it. But now you need so much more than the music. You need good social media. You've got to have good, like, a good relationship with your fans. Yeah, to build the community. Like, we've got a big Discord group and WhatsApp group, and the community of GXD fans is growing. But you've got to make sure that you're engaged with them, otherwise it doesn't build the fan base.
I think coming out of like the past year and sort of going into the future, when events come back and whatnot, it'll be really telling for the guys that then are getting gigs that are kind of not headliners, but sort of growing like our level almost, where we're growing into that spot where we're looking to get into the Creamfields and the big events. It's telling that if we're still around and relevant in any way, then that's pretty impressive. Because like we were saying about earlier, it's so hard to to kind of get any motivation at the moment, because you normally garner motivation from, you know, experiences in life and going out into the world, you know, going on holidays, going to all these different destinations, work and mixing with different people, doing all these different things, because you get motivation from random places and even places you wouldn't expect. So when we're sat at home all day, every day, it's difficult to garner that motivation.
Yeah, I mean, last year we went from having like a couple of festivals, some real big club shows, having some big releases on some big labels, to losing pretty much all those shows. We played one festival and one club show.
More than me.
We had one of our big releases on a big label got pulled, which was Sale actually. Sale was actually signed to another label, not to Ava. And
why was that? Just out of interest, because I've spoken to a few lads and they've said sort of it's a real sort of dilemma for people where they've said either I want to keep releasing music or I'm not releasing anything until events are back.
So I won't mention labels just because I don't want to discredit anyone. But the label basically pulled the track. They said that they said because of the way everything's now going, we're only going to sign tracks and release tracks that we feel will hit 1 million streams within a 12-month period, because they wanted to guarantee that they would have money coming in. So they pulled our track in place of someone else's that was one of their artists.
Right.
So yeah, it was a bit of a kick in the nuts for us, because it would have been, well, it still is our biggest release, and we're very grateful that Ava took it, and we still got the State of Trance play, and we still got it still ended up on Armin's end of year mix and that, so it was still recognized as one of the biggest tracks of 2020. But yeah, it probably could have maybe streamed better, but we've now got some really, really good remixes of it, which will come out this year, which we probably wouldn't have had if it had come out on the other label. Right. So yeah, that 2020 was a tough year. Tough year. We did think about stopping the releases, but then we were like, well, what do we gain from that? Like, if we have a year where we don't do anything, we essentially start again.
Yeah.
And we'd built a fan base. We'd started building momentum with streams. Like our first year when A Dream came out, we had a remix of Sam Laxton's Thunderstorm. That year we only had I think it was 100,000 streams. I mean, A Dream only came out in September, so it was September to December, which it's not too bad of a stat. Year 2,
that was 2019, wasn't it? That was
2019 was year 2 of GXD. Yeah, we had I think it was 400,000 streams.
Wow.
So we went up by like 4 times. And then if we hadn't have released last year, so in 2020, we wouldn't have had anywhere near that number. Yeah, but because we kept releasing, we actually ended up with, I think it was 1.2 million streams over all of our releases. So yeah, it was 100% definitely the right choice to continue releasing. And we were live streaming before live streaming was a thing. You know, we were doing our weekly show every Friday before COVID happened. We were doing it on Facebook. We weren't doing it on Twitch. And we were building sort of the community there. And just releasing music gave us then, I guess, our own original content to put into those shows as well. We weren't just playing our back catalogue or new current music that other people have produced. We had a place to play our own music, and it's not the same as doing it at a live show, but it is still great to play our music and see the reaction from our community as to how they react to our new music.
Yeah, I completely agree with you personally. I think anybody who's carried on releasing through it, yes, you're not going to get the maybe at the end of a track that you finished, you're feeling like this is amazing, it's a main stage banger or whatever, and you want to hear it be played on the main stages or whatever, and maybe in normal times it would be. But don't hold back on it, because at the end of the day, like you say, if you hold back on all your tracks, you're going to become irrelevant eventually, because there's more guys out there. I'd say you guys have got a good sort of happy medium of being DJs and producers, but there's a lot of guys out there that are almost solely known for producing and occasionally play the odd show to set out their tracks.
Yeah,
and they can't afford to be holding back with the with the releases, because at the end of the day, that's almost like what keeps them relevant in the industry.
100%.
And like you say, you got to stay fresh in people's minds, because there is so many guys. There's an endless list that I can think.
Competition's next level.
Well, you look at like going back to Tommy Trash again. What happened with him? Like,
no idea.
You know what I mean? And I think
Q-Lines, what happened with them?
The last track I can remember him doing is the one with IO, where Let Me Go. That's the last track I can remember him doing, and that was early 2019, I think. So that's been 2 years.
See, I've not even heard that.
Yeah, and then before that, it was like 2 odd years since he'd released a track before then, and so he was at one time almost the pinnacle, and now I don't hear anyone at all say his name, and so it's like that to me shows more than anything that you've got to stay relevant.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a real shame, because
he was top 20, wasn't he? I think top 10 in terms of. So yeah.
I'm so jealous you got to see him. he is the one guy, probably more than anybody, that I'm really bummed out I never got to see.
I saw him. Creamfields. I saw him twice at. No, not Cream. He might have done Creamfields as well, actually. I saw him at Ministry twice as well. So Tomorrowland, Creamfields, Ministry twice. Saw him at Ministry with a broken foot. He came on in crutches and was still going for it while he was.
The headbangers.
Yeah. His hair in front of his face.
He's like Bass Nectar, isn't he, in that sense?
Nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Oh man, yeah. I pray that he comes back one day, because I've been a massive fan of his music, and like I did a mix yesterday, and one of my favourite tracks is Cascade.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. Yeah. I love that song. It's dear in my heart. But yeah, man, I hope he comes back. But speaking of guys that have made an impact, who's your biggest inspiration? And you can go for 2 here, because you can say A overall and then B at the moment.
Oh, so it's impossible to pick one person, man.
Mm-hmm.
I say again, it'd have to be Avicii would be the biggest inspiration. Even though like his in the latter part of his career, I didn't really love his music. It didn't really resonate with me. It didn't really do much for me. Kind of from Wake Me Up onwards, didn't really do much for me. Like the production level was obviously insane, and everything about the music was obviously class, but it didn't do much for me. I don't know. Obviously, you've got to look up to people like Armin, who have created this insane legacy, and he's done he literally on Thursday celebrated 1,000 episodes of A State of Trance.
Nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 20 years of doing a radio show every single week. Yeah, and the volume of music that guy has, and obviously the production level of it is just insane.
Mm.
And having, first of all, the feedback that he plays our songs on his podcasts. Yeah, plays them on A State of Trance. He played voices in Singapore at a live show.
Oh wow!
We don't know how many other places he did, but somebody was at the show and they sent us a clip of him playing it. Having that feedback that he genuinely does like our music is just insane. And we were in the Estate of Trance studio. It would have been during ADE 2019, because 2020 didn't happen, did it? And we met him and introduced ourselves. He was like, "Oh yeah, Voices. I love that track. One of my favorites for the year." That's pretty insane.
That's epic.
That's pretty insane. And you'd have to say, in terms of trance music, Armin would have to be up there as like the biggest influence or inspiration. Even though not every single track of his that I like or play or yeah, again, not all of them resonate with me, but it's hard to pick anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, with
the
the
trance
legacy that
scene,
he's had, been around for so many years, and like you say, doing that radio show, he's probably had more releases than anyone in the whole of the dance music industry ever.
Yeah,
So
100%. And
hard
if you
to argue.
include remixes of that, so like people remixing his songs, his back
that's
catalogue
endless.
is obscene. Obscene.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's
unreal,
incomprehensible. Yeah, it's just insane. I think we're sitting on 15 releases, and this year we've got another. I think we've got 8 so far. We're nowhere near.
But it's always good to be able to look at the goat and say that's the goal right there. Is that guy?
Yeah,
up there.
I mean, I don't think I'd ever want to be that big.
Oh really?
I don't know. I think there's something about being that big that is almost like, does it put me off a bit? I'd happily just be touring like a comfortable amount, releasing solidly and playing the big shows, but not necessarily that big headliner that plays. Yeah. So somebody that's playing every week, every other week, but doesn't have the pressure of playing 200 shows a year and still having to somehow produce music and have a family and have a normal life. Yeah, like I do enjoy my what you class as normal life. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to throw all of that away to travel 100% of the time. That's my stance on it.
Yeah. It's really something like sort of the journey of getting into the music industry, particularly as a DJ, because you do have all these different, variables. We get into it at first, and sometimes, a lot of the lads, when they get into DJing at first, they'll be DJing the local clubs or whatever, and they'll, be just getting a taster. And sometimes they're playing to a 60, 80 capacity room kind of thing. And then you've got that to then going into the bigger clubs, to then go into the festivals. And then once you get more success, you're going around on planes all the time and doing world tours and things like that. Then you throw in the mix that you might have to be making music as well, so you're doing production. But it's insane. Like I was saying to someone the other day, how to me the idea that like everybody who DJs who wants to be successful and play the main stages of the festivals and the big stages. For them to be anywhere near those places, they'd have to start producing music. To me, is crazy, because like it's two completely separate things. Because like you've got DJing, which to me is a very extrovert thing where you've got to be on stage, you've got to be hyping up a crowd. So you've got to be out there, you've got to be very sort of a sociable type person, got many friends, always out speaking to people. And then you've got the complete opposite, which is a producer, an extrovert, where you've got to sit in a studio, in a room for 10, 12 hours at a time or whatever, you know, making these minor adjustments here and there and everywhere. Those two people are such different people.
Yeah.
The best comparison is probably like Avicii on the one hand, to then guys like Salvatore Ganacci, say. Obviously,
yeah. I mean, so this is obviously where the world has changed so much. Like, if you look at if you again, we go back to 2012 and you think music festivals, DJs weren't really a thing at music festivals. It was all bands.
Right.
And being a DJ was playing the music, playing other people's songs.
Mm-hmm.
And you could make it as a DJ solely back then. But now, because of how music and festivals have evolved, and how people want to go and see, they don't want to just hear levels being played by whoever. They want to hear levels being played by Avicii. Yeah, because that's, even though it's the same record and I could press play, you could press play, Avicii could have pressed play on the same record, it's still not the same. Yeah, like you just don't get that same buzz that you get that you see your favorite DJ playing that song. Yeah, like one year Levels was massive and everyone was playing it all their sets, but it went more off when Avicii played it than when Hardwell played it. Yeah, because it was Avicii's song. Yeah, so that's where music is now. You have to be that. But to play the big shows, you have to make the music, because people want to come and see you play your music. So we've now got to the stage where, as GXD, we have enough songs where we can fill an hour and a half, almost a 2-hour set with just our own songs.
Wow.
Yeah. So people that come to see GXD, they see GXD. They don't see GXD mixed in with a Marlowe track, an Armin track, and all that. They come and they listen to our tracks.
They want to listen to the artist.
Yeah, because ultimately they could go and see Armin anywhere in the world and hear an Armin track. Yeah, so that's kind of why it is how it is, because people want to see their favorite DJ play their tracks.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a solid point. I've not really heard a point like that before. But the thing that I'd probably put back to you is, I think things are really evolving in multiple ways. You've got the first way that I really dislike. I think most of us dislike, which is, you know, your Gianluca Vacci, Paris Hilton playing at Tomorrowland, things like that. They've obviously never made a song in their lives. But you've got that kind of opening Pandora's box for a few different situations to come in. But
yeah,
I think more than anything, you've got the, for example, I agree with you when you talk about how, you know, if you want to hear Spaceman, you want to go and see Hardwell play it. If you hear Adagio, you want to go see Tiesto play it or whatever. You don't want to hear the guy on the side stage or whatever. But what I would say as well is, I definitely think there's DJs out there that people go and see because they're a DJ, and a lot of the time they don't actually know any of their tracks. They go and see them because of the DJ that they are, and they're either entertaining on stage in how they hype up the crowd, or they're entertaining in what they do on the decks, like Laidback Luke, for example. I'd say them, you know, you look at his Tomorrowland sets and stuff, I don't think it's a packed crowd of people that really want to go and see him play his, new track with Jules and Sparks, for example, or whatever. I think the vast majority won't know that track. They're going to see him because he's Laid Back Luke, because he's a legendary DJ. I think you've also got, like I said to you earlier, Salvatore Ganacci. He's opened up a big window. No one's going to see him because he's got mad productions or whatever. He is an unreal producer and very talented, and it's good that he can back it up. But no one's going to see him because he's made an amazing track. Every person on the main stage, I was there last year, 2019, Tomorrowland. The main stage was packed to go and see that guy because what he'd done the year before. No one was there because they could name a track of his. I couldn't even name a single track of his. They're amazing.
He's got this unique selling point of just being an absolute loose cannon. That is it. Yeah, he is a loose cannon, and that is why people go see him. You go back to the Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton plays these stages because of her brand, not because of what she does or anything. She is a brand, yeah, and so she can get booked because people want to go and see Paris Hilton because of her brand. Again, yeah, you say Laid Back Luke is obviously a class DJ, but he's been in the game for a million years. Like, I think it's very hard for, if you had Laid Back Luke's talent and you mixed exactly how he did or how he does, but you're completely new and you have no name, you're not going to get anywhere. It's unfortunate, but you're not going to get anywhere. You can't. You can DJ at some clubs and stuff, but you'll never play a main stage set as a DJ, because unless you've got releases, it's the scene now is just that way. There's no way as a new DJ, unless you've got the music to back it up, that you're going to play those big shows.
I think there is a fair few examples out there, though, in all fairness, that guys that have gotten really big and played Tomorrowland.
But have they got shows. So what have they got that's their unique selling point?
We look at like a DJ Blend, for example. Look how long he's been going.
Is that the guy with the mask? But again, yes, but that's what I'm saying. Look, you just said, look how long he's been going. Yeah, so if they've been in the game for a while and they've been doing it for a while, then they've already sort of got that establishment. But if you're a complete brand new DJ starting out, let's say this year, yeah, let's say 2021 is your first year, yeah, unless you've got the music, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think for sure what you're saying in terms of the production side, if you want to get into it, a Martin Garrix type level, you're obviously going to need to be,
has to happen,
because you need to have a big break like he did with Animals. But in terms of solely being a DJ, there's a lot of examples I can think of, particularly guys that sell tickets purely because of what they do on stage, not because anyone knows them for their music, like Diego Miranda. Do you know him?
No.
So he recently, I think last year or maybe the year before, started putting stuff out on Spinning. I don't know where it's come from, whether he even made it or not, but he was huge or is huge in Brazil for years and years. Like you see a lot of these guys come out of Brazil. He was,
so there you go, years and years.
Well, yeah, but he's also been playing Tomorrowland, and he never made a track. But he got that following. So I think there's definitely examples out there, and I think it is possible.
You might also, he may well run festivals, or so. You don't. I don't know. I don't know who he is, but let's say, for instance, he might run a music festival in Brazil, and he would trade a slot playing at Tomorrowland with somebody at Tomorrowland who's big in Tomorrowland, who would then come over to Brazil or bring some of their artists to Brazil. And so that's how you get in that way.
You've just surprised a lot of people with what you said there, because a lot of people wouldn't even think that things like that happen. But
100%.
I mean, how do you
100%.
think Jack Nicholson keeps playing?
That's all speculation because I have no idea. I don't know who this
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
is,
yeah. Obviously,
but that's probably a big part of it. Some of these DJs that have never produced a track in their life are most probably promoters of some sort of festival or club that trade off with other promoters or DJs with their club or festival to come and play at their events.
yeah, that's a pretty prevalent thing. What would you say, or would you say over the past few years, or since you started going raving, really, has there ever been a time where you've been in a club at a festival or something, and you've gone, you go into the festival or the club to go and see someone in particular, and there's been a DJ that's really surprised you when you've been there that you've kind of latched onto? That really blew you away?
We would have to go back some years again. Well, it would be Avicii. It would be Avicii at the Tiesto gig. Yeah, like we didn't even know who he was. Yeah, we didn't even look at the lineup. We saw Tiesto, and supporting him was was it Pendulum?
Wow.
Yeah. So we were like, they were the only two people we knew. The rest of the lineup, we had no idea who they were. Yeah.
But doing their drum and bass stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Bloody hell.
So I would say it would definitely be Avicii. But I mean, I've been to Ministry countless times to see the headliner, and you think so. I saw, it would have been. Oh, can't even remember now. We were seeing Dennis Koyu, and
Oh wow.
he was obviously class. What's that? The duo on revealed a lot, on spinning a lot. Say again?
Sis?
No, duo.
They're a duo.
Are they?
Yeah, yeah. You have to give me more clues than this.
Yeah, I can't, mate. My mind has gone completely blank.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have to I'd have to go back to. Oh, simply Sick Individuals.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. They, before they were quite big, they warmed up the box once, and they were playing just like some real sort of just housey stuff,
Uh-huh.
and then it hit 1 o'clock. You know, the box opens at 12, and the headliner tends to come on 1:30 or 3 o'clock, depends on that. But and sort of 1 o'clock till 1:30, it just turned. It just they played one song that was their transition song, and I was like, okay, this is where it's going to kick in now. This is where it's
Uh-huh.
going to go nuts. And
Uh-huh.
they played half hour of like their sort of high energy
Yeah.
sound, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty nuts. And yeah, their mixing was pretty good.
Like they often do that, where they'll open the box, the main room, like you say, at midnight, and a lot of the time you'll get the guy that's touring with them do the opening set, and then the headliner will go on afterwards. Like when I went to see Andrew Rayel for the very first time, he had David Gravel open for him, so the box was opened up at midnight, and David Gravel was playing like you say, an hour of sort of, getting people in the rhythm, and then the last half an hour was just all his heaviest stuff.
Yeah.
Same thing again with when I went to see W&W a few years back. In there, Maurice West opened up for them, and it was all house stuff for the first hour. And the last half an hour, it gets into all the heavy big room. And oh my god, it's nuts, man. In terms of gigs, then, what would you say is your favourite gig that you've played so far?
I mean, we had in 2019, we played in Thailand. We had like a month of like some proper touring. We played in Thailand. I played. Daly didn't play this show. He'd already was already in Phuket, and we played a club called Hollywood in Pattaya.
I'll say that. Yeah.
It was like just these super clubs you dream of in Asia, and playing in a club that size with the production level that it had and that many people in that was pretty nuts. Again, nobody really knew who we were, so it's not quite as special, I think, as when you play we played the pre-party for A State of Trance, and people were singing along to our songs, and that's pretty epic. When people are singing the words to the songs that you produce, wow. That's pretty special. So I'd say those couple of moments are pretty good. We would have had some really good shows last year.
I know the feeling, mate.
Some really good shows last year, which would have been, if you'd have asked me this list without the pandemic, I think I would have given you some good answers. some real good answers. But it's tough when the big shows disappear.
It's really hard because, like you say, it's tough sometimes to keep mentally positive with everything going on, because obviously it's depressing enough as it is. But then you've always got that thing. I think most of us do. Any of us that are critical enough of ourselves, we've always got a bit of doubt in our mind where, like, when things go back to normal, are we going to ever have any gigs and things like that? And you constantly got those things going around in the back of your mind. Because I had a similar thing where I had like a few ministry gigs planned for last year. I had a gig in Liverpool planned. I was going out to, and I haven't told anyone this, but I was supposed to be going out to Shanghai to play a club there, because there's a good friend of mine that runs a club out there. So I was supposed to be doing that. I was supposed to be doing possibly like a 3-gig run, because there was a place in Thailand and a place in Vietnam. So I was supposed to be doing like a little run there. So that went all tits up. So luckily, it still looks like all those things are on the horizon for end of this year, next year. But yeah, it's it's hard, like you say, with the motivation factor, trying to, like you say, make mixes, do different things like that. I mean, even just motivation to do this, for example, I had the plans to do this over a year ago. And I've sort of made notes and done all these different things and kind of structured it, my questions and different aspects of doing this. But thankfully I ended up working a lot last year, so I didn't have time to do this. I just never got around to it. Thankfully I'm doing it this year. But yeah, it's it can be really difficult.
It's the social media content that's the hardest part. Because before, when you had the shows to shout about, you had the shows afterwards to shout about, because you could post videos from it and you could post the live mixes from it. But now there's, what do you have to shout about? You've got new music and you've got a live stream. That's it. Yeah, what else can we shout about? We can't shout about any shows. We can't shout about any past shows, really.
You've just got to laugh, because otherwise you'll cry.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh God. Another thing I wanted to ask you: have you ever had anything at a gig at any time go wrong, whether it be a technical issue or maybe something's, you've missed something? As someone said to me before, they mixed in the same track that they were playing.
So I've done that. I've done that recently. I did that in a live stream recently, because I've got 3 CDJs, and one of them, the link cable's broken.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're playing the new music, I don't really. I've listened to it maybe once or twice. I don't know the names of it yet. Like I don't like. Yeah, like when it's our own tracks or tracks that have been out for years, I know what they are.
Uh-huh.
But when it's something brand new and you're playing it for the first time on a radio show, like you don't know. And I had this like the smoothest transition I've ever had, and I was like, "This is unreal! Yeah, this sounds so good." And then I looked down and I was like, "Shit, it's the same song." That's why the transition was so good. At that show in Thailand, I played the Nicky Romero and Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike collaboration twice. I played it at the start of the set, and then I played it again midway through. And as I started singing the vocal, like "Hey boy, hey girl," I was like, I looked down at Kelly and was like, "I've already played this, haven't I?" She was like, "Yep." Nobody notices, nobody cares. The first boat party I played at, I was playing on some old CDJ 900s, and an auto cue wasn't on, and it just started playing the songs straight away, every time, and every time I went back to stop it and pull it back, it would then start playing it again. So I had I essentially had no cue button. So I was having to like pull it back, and I had to basically use it like a vinyl. And I had no vinyl experience at all at this point. Yeah, none at all. And I was like, "What is going on?" Like, this was like one of my first like good shows, and I was just all over the place. Yeah, I was all over the place, and it ended up being quite good, and I worked through it. But that was one of the toughest like career moments, and it taught me to really make sure that when I'm first behind the decks, just do a full check of every single piece of equipment, every bits of buttons, and check that everything's set up how I want it, because if something's not quite right, boy, do you know about it.
Yeah. I'd say that's a solid piece of advice. Make sure you do your checks before a gig, because
the first couple of mixes were proper train wrecks, and I was like, really? I don't know how I bounced back from this. But I figured it out. And I'd like to think that now, if you put me behind the decks, I'd be able to figure anything out. But back then, boy, well, that was tough.
Sometimes, like you know yourself, because obviously you've played Ministry many times before, and you go into the DJ booth or whatever, and every time I've gone into the DJ booth, there's just knobs all over the place, and I'm thinking, what is going on?
How's the person before you mixed like this?
It's insane. I'm like, what the frig is going on?
You've got like the trim all the way up, and
on one of them,
it's like mad red lining, and I'm like, how do I bring this back? Because if I pull it down, the volume's going to drop. But I don't want to be like distorting everything to the next level. And it's just, you do have some proper clowns in before you. That
I had a couple. Well, I've had a few moments. I'd say probably two moments that were kind of shit me kind of moments. The first one was the very first gig I played, which was the one where I supported WW back in April 2019 at Ministry, and I was playing the Loft.
The Loft, yeah.
But at that point, obviously, the Loft was, and still is, I guess, a very tech house kind of room. That's what it's known for.
Yeah.
For some reason, in the few months before leading up to my gig, the lads who'd been playing it had been playing EDM and things like that. And obviously, a lot of the Chinese students were following the lads because a lot of them were Chinese DJs. And so you'd go into the Loft and the crowd was jumping up and down, and you're like, oh my God. So I said, okay, I'll play in the Loft. And I ended up playing like quite an EDM style set. But one thing that I did really balls up, and thankfully no one noticed because I mixed it out, pretty quickly. I think I might have mixed it out as it dropped in, but I played the intro a bit. Obviously, I'm supporting WW. The promoter will always tell you, don't play tracks of the guys that you're going to be supporting. And what do? I think I played like I played like one of their biggest tracks. I think I played like Put 'Em Up or something. And I was like, I remember because you're just really in the moment. You might have had a few, whatever. You're with your mates, you're buzzing. You're about half an hour into your set. The crowd's jumping already or whatever, and you get that mix in, and you fade the other track down. And you go bam, and you go, oh fuck. I was like,
I mean, lucky it wasn't in the main room. If you were in the main room, you'd have been stripped off those decks within about a second.
Thank God, I'd have been in trouble. That was horrendous. But I had that, and then I don't know if you know the story of when I was in the main room, what went wrong. Okay.
No.
Well, in brief, on my intro track, about 15 seconds into the intro, someone, I won't name them because I don't want to shit on them, pulled out my USB.
Nice.
Yep. I've never experienced that before, because like you say, when you're at home mixing or practicing at gigs, wherever you are, you don't tend to pull out your USB as you're playing. And so this guy decided to pull out my USB 15 seconds into the intro of my first track. I could have died, because of course I don't know if you've had that happen before, or what happens when that happens. But you get the 4-beat loop thing, and so what happened was my opening track was Kashmir Dance K Burn, and so what happened, it was going da 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 da, and it just started doing that. Like I remember, like I was hyping up the crowd and clapping and whatnot, and I started thinking, hang on, there's usually a bit more of a build up than this. It's still going da 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 da, and I looked down, I was like, fuck my USB. I was like,
so did you think it was his USB? Do you think it was his?
Yes, he'd left his in.
Wow.
And took mine and walked backstage.
Wow. So did you have to find one of his tracks, put it on, and then?
But his USB. I mean, obviously everyone's different. We all do it differently.
Yeah.
His
Some
USB for me was not organised at all.
Yeah.
And so I clicked on it, and I was like, what's this? Like, I didn't understand where I was looking at. Like, you've probably had it before if you've gone onto like
100%.
USB, and you go on it and you're trying to find a track, and you're like, where the frig's your tracks? And so I went onto it. You just had 2 folders. It wasn't anything like particularly orderly or whatever. I clicked onto it. I was just finding acapellas. I was like, I need a song. And
just
so
any song.
I was panic. I was in panic mode. And so the first thing, I just picked the first thing I could see. I thought, oh, well, Esso, bang, put it on. What was it? It was an acapella.
Good.
And so, so it wasn't purely an acapella. So it was, If I Lose Myself, Alesso. It wasn't just an acapella. It was like the piano behind it.
Okay, so it's like an acoustic version.
Exactly. It weren't the original track. And so I had the, I had the vocal going, and everyone was sort of singing to it, and I kind of got people clapping. And meanwhile, I was screaming at the tech guy next to me to go and get my fucking USB stick. And then he sprinted back and threw it to me. But my God, that was the worst moment of my life, because I had to then put in my USB, find a suitable track. That one's fucked off because it's somewhere in my library. I'm not going to go and find that again. So I've got to go and find another one now. Make sure it's decent enough to open up. Then get it in time with this acapella. I was just like, and now that track has haunted me. I won't play Kashmir Dallas K Burn again. I won't go near it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I don't wish that on my worst enemy. Fuck me. That was horrible. And fair enough. Like, thankfully, I managed to kind of get my mojo back and kind of put it behind me. But oh my God, I mean,
those first couple of mixes in a big club like that, anyway, you shit yourself up. You're like, even though you know that CDJ1 is playing, you're still tight to stop CDJ2 and put the next one on, because you're still like, what if this is the one that's actually playing, even though you know it's not.
I was so overwhelmed. Like, it was almost a sellout night. Like, they sold really well because it was like one of these Chinese nights.
Yeah.
I think like a Chinese New Year or something like that. And they sold really well. And so I then was going on to a stage that I'd idolized. I'd been there every other week for 3 years, and it meant so much to me. And then I've then got the fact that also, at my home setup, I've only got 2 CDJs.
Yeah.
Most of the rooms in ministry, I think it's only 2 CDJs, other than the 103. And then, yeah, I've then got 8 in front of me. So I'm like, okay, so it's already really daunting, and then you've got all these people that you don't know looking at you. So I've never had that before, and then I had that happened.
The loop of death.
The loop of death, they call it. My God, I could have died any other time in my life for that to happen. Not then, though. Jesus Christ. Yeah, but oh my God. Yeah, that was the most sort of scrappy I've ever been.
Yeah.
that was absolutely horrendous. But yeah, going away from that in terms of gigs, what would you say besides the obvious ones like Tomorrowland and Ultra is your dream gig? Maybe somebody.
We're so desperate to have a residency at Ministry. Yeah, playing in that main room, warming up every week or closing every week, and being able to, because we've got quite a good balance of remixes of our own tracks now. We could play a warm-up set and have our own tracks in there. We could play a closing set and have our tracks in there. Like, I'd love a residency at Ministry. Yeah, not just play at Ministry. I don't want to just play the box. I want to play there every other week, but playing in the main room every other week. Creamfields would be obviously pretty good. Yeah, you got obviously say Tomorrowland. A State of Trance, like playing the festival. If we could get on the State of Trance 1000 lineup, that'd be pretty epic. We've got 3 Armada releases this year already, so the potential for us to be on that lineup is maybe there. So we'll see, but that would be pretty good, playing the main State of Trance. We played the pre-party last year, but playing the actual music festival would be up there with main shows we'd want to play.
I think a trait that I've seen speaking to all the lads doing this, that I see a lot of DJs and a lot of the lads in the industry have, is they never give themselves enough credit, man. Because I'm telling you now, like the how far you guys have gone in the past couple of years is immense. Most guys could only ever dream of Armin even listening to their track in
for sure
headphones, to then have multiple supports via him, and then all the supports that come off of that is unreal. And like that is so big. Like you've got your plays on pretty much the biggest dance station on earth.
Yeah,
that's huge. And like the lad I was speaking to yesterday, he was getting really down. He's mainly a producer. He's DJ'd like the odd little thing here and there, but he's not really played any clubs. But he's a real good producer, lad from the Midlands like me, and he's had some real big support, and he's got some big people's emails and things like that, and particularly Nicky Romero. He's constantly emailing with Nicky Romero. He's got his personal email, and he's constantly sending stuff to Nicky, and Nicky's giving him advice and chatting to him all the time. And he was saying to me yesterday how he's getting really down and struggling to find the motivation and doesn't know whether it's worth it or not. And I'm like, mate, do you know how many people would kill to have Nicky Romero personal email be getting feedback from him every time you make a track. Most people are die to get that. Like, that is
100%.
so important. So he's clearly doing something right. And in the same breath, you guys are obviously doing something right as well, that you're in the position you're in where you're having plays on the biggest dance show in the world.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we do, like, we have moments where we do struggle to find that motivation, but we do always come back to saying, look at how far we've come. Like you just said, look at where we are, look at what we've done, and the volume of releases we've had, the volume of plays we've had. We're 100% doing the right things. We've just got to keep cracking on, and know the percentage of people that do crack on, they're the ones that make it. Yeah, if you give up, you're never going to make it.
No.
Yeah, that's it. You're done, aren't you? Yeah, but if you keep cracking on, eventually we will get to where we want to be.
Yeah.
It's like your Martin Garrix's doesn't happen overnight anymore.
No.
Yeah, it might happen to the odd person, but it's not a thing. You're not going to make one song and become the biggest DJ in the world. It's not going to happen, unfortunately.
It doesn't make sense to do it that way, and I don't think most people would want it that way anyway.
I mean, even if you look at Martin Garrix and you think, right, Animals, he had songs before that. Yeah, he had so many songs before that were out and spinning and stuff. Stuff like Julian Jordan, he had that, is it Befam or whatever it is?
Yeah,
stuff like that. All of those tracks, they were pre-Animals. He did have releases before Animals. It wasn't Animals was his first track. And that's it.
Was Helicopter before it, or did that come after?
Well, I think that might have been after.
Yeah.
I think that might have been after.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, come on, it doesn't happen. And he had some mad backing and had the marketing of certain people in the right way, and he was marketed in the right way. Yeah, like, come on, it just doesn't happen. You got to grind.
That time was different to the time we're in now, because
100%.
back then you had guys like him, but you also had guys like Dubs and Borges with Tsunami. You know, I think the reason that those two tracks particularly became so big is because a lot of people were using them in videos, like on Vines, I think, and in Facebook videos and things like that, and on YouTube when people were making, like, you know, gaming tutorials and things like that. You know, they'd maybe score a goal or whatever, and they play that song, and that helped the tracks, those two tracks, become as big as they did. And that kind of culture isn't around so much anymore, where you're hearing one big EDM song in videos all over the place.
Well, it's because of copyright infringements now. Yeah, you put 100%. You put a video up. If you put a video up on, let's say I'm streaming a game, and I put any commercial song on as a background, the video gets completely muted, and you'll get a strike on YouTube. That wasn't a thing. Yeah, back then that wasn't a thing. Yeah, only unless you were using, say, like a Miley Cyrus song, something that was like mega mainstream, then you weren't getting copyright strikes.
Is that why you guys do more live streaming then?
Well, if we were doing a live stream on Facebook, we'd get booted off for copyright, even if we were playing our own songs. And a lot of it is down to essentially Spotify.
Really?
Because Spotify work with these brands, and you know, stuff like Shazam, where you can play a segment of a track and it will then tell you what that song is. Facebook use the same algorithm, and whenever you're playing, well, they're even if you're not playing music, they're listening to what you're playing. Whether it's just us talking, let's say we were doing this now live on Facebook, Facebook would be listening, and if they heard any part of a song, it would go through their sort of algorithm,
Mm-hmm.
and it would, if it came up as a song that was on their list, which is essentially any song on Spotify now, that there would be them muting that section when it goes off live, and potentially, if it was a long enough period of that song, cutting the stream off.
Jesus.
And that's what happens with like YouTube and stuff now.
How do you guys get around it?
We don't do it on Facebook anymore. We do it on Twitch.
Ah, okay.
Twitch doesn't have the same system on lives, so they don't shut us down when we're live, but they will mute parts of the recording afterwards.
Yeah, I've had that with YouTube.
YouTube's the same. It's all down to copyright, and that's why these days you don't have like what you've just said on videos, because people will get their YouTube accounts suspended if they use songs that they haven't got the copyright for.
Yeah, I've sort of been hitting this brick wall quite a bit with because obviously I upload my mixes mainly to YouTube.
Yeah.
I occasionally put them on SoundCloud, but mainly to YouTube, and it can be a real pain in the ass sometimes. Like, thank God I don't rely on DJing and music for my living, because
Mixcloud is your only place.
You get the what you call it, the not the red stripe to say that you can't.
Yeah, but just
video,
the muted.
Get
part.
the yellow one where. Yeah. Well, no, it don't mute it, but what it says is you can't make any money off the video. You can't monetize the video, basically. So I get the yellow ones pretty much on almost every track that I play.
Everyone, yeah.
Which doesn't bother me whatsoever, because I'm not doing this for money anyway. And my channel's way too small to be monetized anyway. So that doesn't really bother me. But I have had like when I tried to do the year mix thing, I just said in my mind, okay, I want to do like 50 of my favorite tracks from the year, and I think almost all of them got the copyright strike. But that you get two levels of copyright strike. You get the yellow one, which you can still play the video, and it's still, you can hear it all, but you just can't make any money off it. And then the red one, where the video won't be uploaded until it's either removed or muted. And I had 7 tracks that wouldn't let me upload until I removed or edited it. So thankfully, I disputed them, because I said, I have changed the track in a pretty drastic way, where I'm mixing it. Like, I'm not playing the original version, which is an extended mix or whatever. And I've never had any feedback to say, we dispute that and we want to take the video down. So you'll often find, if you dispute the copyright claims, no one's really that sitting away like, oh, you're not using my track in a mix, because most guys, they actually do want you to be honest. Anyway.
100%. Like, if somebody is playing our track in a set, it's promo for us. Yeah, it's good promo for us. So like, why do we want that to be muted? But that is, Facebook has destroyed some DJs' momentum for sure through all of this. But that's
I've always wondered, right? That's why I started doing it on YouTube, and pretty much why I carry on. Is you look at like all the big radio shows. Like, my biggest example was always Hardwell on Air. I'd listen to that on YouTube. You got Musical Freedoms one. You've got obviously ASAR as well. They constantly putting up hour-long mixes every week for years on end, and they've never had a muted track or whatever.
Well, because of the level they're at, they get whitelisted, so they essentially can play whatever they want.
Really?
Yeah, because they've got the traction that they have. People like that, they get whitelisted. So anything that they do is fair game.
Wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We get whitelisted for all Black Hole tracks, and we still sometimes get muted on Black Hole tracks.
How does that work then? Do they have to speak to Facebook first? Then
essentially, yeah.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn something new every day. Okay, so I'd like to play a couple games with you now, if that's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
So the first one I want to play with you is I want you to basically describe to someone who's never ever heard dance music in any form. I want you to explain two subgenres to the person. They've never heard dance music in any way whatsoever. And I just want you to explain to somebody who knows nothing about music production or whatever, as best as you can, what that subgenre is as a sound.
Okay. And
So,
are you giving me the subgenres?
yeah.
Okay.
I've got about 20 listed, and I always pick two at random.
Okay.
Let's see then. Okay, first one we'll do is progressive house.
Okay. Progressive house. So I would say progressive house always pretty much 128 beats per minute. Every kick drum you have 128 kick drums for through the minute. The melodies progress on. This is why it's called progressive house. If you think house music, it's like a 4-bar loop or 1-bar loop, dependent on who it is. Progressive house has like a melody that progresses on, which is synth based. So like nice sounding synths that are pleasant on the ear. Nice driving bass lines that complement that, with tends to be like a 4-bar progression. So the progression would change every 4 beats, and more often than not have a nice vocal that go with it. You do have some progressive house instrumentals, but the main ones that you think of have vocals.
Okay.
Go on then, hit me with the next one.
Lovely. The next one might be a bit more up your sort of style. Psytrance.
Psytrance. Oh, okay. So Psytrance is we move up to sort of 140 beats per minute to maybe 150. Depends on how heavy a Psytrance you want to go. If you go to like Brazil or like some Eastern European places, they're like mad on their super heavy Psytrance. Lots of like acid sounds. The bass line is more offbeat or rhythmic rather than hitting on the beat. Like you go boom, 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 boom. So it's like there's more rhythm to it.
Almost like something stuck in the washing machine.
Yeah, it's very, very bass driven. Not much in the way of melodies. The bass line would change quite often. If you went to a big nightclub, you'd hear it at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's just super late night music, ending the night on it. Yeah, sort of. You'd have some sort of the modern main stage psytrance has like real ethnic kind of maybe vocals in the break, like Indian style kind of stuff going on.
It's very tribal, isn't it?
Very tribal, yeah. That would be psytrance. I mean, that wouldn't be your hardcore psytrance. I'd say your normal psytrance is very sort of acid bass driven, and people would say if your songs like Chakra and that's not real psytrance. Yeah, that's main stage EDM psytrance. You'd go like Simon Patterson, and like your whole Seven Tribe would be your hardcore psytrance. But yeah.
Okay. I actually that was really good, those answers. Let me ask you one more, and then we'll go on to the last game. Then,
okay.
Please explain to somebody who's never listened to dance music what techno is.
Techno. Techno is again anything from 124 to 140 again. Yeah, you do have quite a big range of speeds for techno. It's very like drum based. So you have like events like Drum Code. It's very drum based. So you've got like a real reverb drowned kick, which is almost, the kick is kind of like your big room kick, but done processed in a different way. And techno DJs will slate me for saying it's like EDM, like big room, because they're like, no, it's not. And it's a mashup of like very, very big low end, and you've got like some big hi-hats at the top that are giving you the groove. Not a huge amount of vocal going on. Again, you've got like some acid parts in there, potentially like progressing it on a bit. I'm not a massive fan of techno. I'm not a massive fan. I really like the new remixes of like trance classics, where they have like in the breakdown they'll have the trance melodies, and then when it comes back in, it will just go back into that boom, 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 boom. And
like the IO stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't even necessarily say that. That's borderlining the whole techno sound, isn't it? It is techno, but you'd have to go deep to like, is it Adam Beyer, where he would say IO isn't even proper techno, probably.
Yeah.
And it's just that real hardcore, just drums essentially. I mean, I'm not a lover of techno.
No. I think that's something that was really impressive about IO, is how he grew such a strong following off the techno lot, but yet he kind of came from trance, and he was very trance orientated.
Well, there's this whole melodic techno now, which is essentially trance from 2005, 2000, and that era, where actually trance has got more of a bass line. But if you strip that bass line out and you just have the low end and the melody, this is like your melodic techno. Yeah, if you get rid of that rolling bass line from trance, essentially you've got melodic techno. Yeah, so people are making trance music from 2005 and calling it melodic techno. Like Boris Brecker, he's essentially, some of his music is trance.
Really?
Yeah, they've just rebranded it, really.
Right. I don't know too much about his music. I've seen him at I don't know much about what he actually does. I prefer it to your average techno stuff.
Yeah.
I know that. But I haven't really thought too deeply about what it is. I've just kind of always seen him in passing, kind of thing. But yeah,
melodic techno bordering trance.
Because I think like IO's last track, that was incredible. That Castles in the Sky.
Yeah.
That is such a beautiful trance melody. And then, like you say, you've got that sort of techno. I guess it's a drum
techno beat. Yeah. Drum loop and low end. Yeah.
Because like my favourite track from his was probably the one he released on In Harmony, Lasers. I think, my God, that is just.
That's again, that is techno in a way, isn't it? But it's still.
Well, he said, because I listened to an interview that he did, probably the longest interview he's ever done, with an American guy, and his comments about that track was, he said, if he was to explain to someone, it's big room, and I was like,
yeah.
I mean, it's 128, but
yeah.
I mean, because it's interesting. Like, he's sort of in the later part of his career, he was almost more techno orientated, and techno crowd was all over him. But he had this trance sort of background as well.
Yeah.
But then, like, like the big room guys were playing lasers, I suppose. But
Yeah. His stuff's it has more synth based stuff going on, whereas if you look at the techno, it's not heavily synthesized apart from like your acid sounds.
mm,
So it's not like super synth based, whereas like EDM, progressive house, trance, it's very synth based.
hmm the last game I want to play with you is I'm gonna name subgenres,
Yeah,
and what I want you to do is name or say the first word that comes to mind. Just the first word that
the
comes to
first
mind. You
word,
don't.
not an artist or song, just the word.
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
I'll say a subgenre, and I just when you think when someone says
Okay.
that subgenre to you, what's the first word that comes to mind? It could be a
Okay.
feeling, or it could be
Okay.
an idea. It could be anything.
Okay.
Ideally, the first word, but you can say a couple, or
Okay.
if you feel the need to, you
Yeah.
can elaborate as well.
Uh-huh.
Okay, progressive house,
Oh, summer.
deep house,
Uh, pool party.
big room,
Main stage festival.
hardstyle,
6 a.m.
trance,
Uplifting.
psytrance,
9 a.m.
bass house.
Grime face.
Okay.
Just get your grime face on.
What I put down for bass house is just nodding because every time I'm in a
Yeah.
bass house, I'm like, yeah.
Nah, I'm just like you hear that filthy bass melody. Oh yeah. Ugh.
Techno.
Trash.
Dubstep.
Noise.
I put screech for dubstep.
Yeah, I mean it depends what it is, but it is just noise, isn't it? Come on.
Yeah, I think we're. I think I'll see a theme here. It's going to be a similar thing to what I say. Drum and bass.
Ah, I'm gonna say right mood. If I'm in the right mood,
Uh
like at a festival, if like a bit of drum and bass comes on, great. Yeah, fine. But yeah, take it
huh.
or leave it. Take it or leave it.
I'll listen to drum and bass one time, one place, and that's when Netsky is on the Thursday at the Global Gathering thingy at the
No,
what
it's
do you
not
call it?
even drum and bass anymore, though, is it?
No, that's it. Trap.
Like try hard R&B. It is. It's basically an R&B beat or a hip hop beat. Yeah, like what people would rap over, just with EDM
you,
sounds.
you'll be triggering some Americans out there.
That's what it is. That's why Americans love it. Yeah, they love
Yeah,
their
no
hip
doubt.
hop and all that.
Yeah.
And it is, if you strip back like certain rappers' songs, yeah, and take their vocal off and put just like an EDM synth over the top, that's what it is. Yeah, you got your heavy 808s, and then 808 is a massive hip hop. Yeah, you put like any Timberland song on.
hmm
Yeah, it's all 808s. Yeah,
Right.
and then you mix that with W and W, you've
Mhm.
got trap. That is what it is.
Really?
That's why the Americans love it. Yeah, that's why the Americans love it, because it is a mixture of EDM, yeah, and hip hop.
Bloody hell.
Done.
Happy hardcore.
Sorry, like 1999.
Tropical house.
Oh, that's pool parties again.
Uh huh. Groove slash funk.
Uh, I wouldn't even know what to say there. I'm thinking when you say the word funk, I'm thinking of like essentially jazz and funk. I'm thinking of saxophones. I'm thinking of
I'm talking like, have you ever listened to Danik's radio show where he plays a lot of the groovy stuff?
Yeah, like funk radio and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I just think head bopping.
Okay. And lastly, future bass.
Oh, again, it's like a try-hard kind of progressive house.
You'll be really triggering a few people out there with this one.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Jesus Christ. So, thank you for chatting to me.
Cheers for having me.
What
Been
can
good fun.
people expect from you guys in the future?
We've got, so those that want to keep up with GXD, we've got three big Armada releases this year. We've got a Cold Harbor release. We've got 3 big GXD remixes coming out. We've got another track that we've finished, which is a big collaboration that we're hoping to get on probably a State of Trance or In Harmony. And then, yeah, if you want to keep up to date with our podcast, we're on Mixcloud. We do every Friday at 6 o'clock British time. Our show, Dream Radio, which is a live stream on Twitch, but you can catch up with it on Mixcloud. Oh man, is there going to be any shows? If there's any shows, then at the end of the year, then hopefully we'd like to think we'll be on them. But I think 2021 is our big push for 2022 bookings. Yeah, if we come out of 2021 really strong with releases, then hopefully we'll have some big 2022 release bookings. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that is GXD in a nutshell for now. Same as pretty much anyone, isn't it?
Yeah. It's I gotta do a big shout out to Matt, particularly from GXD as well, because without this guy's help, I wouldn't be here today speaking to you guys and having a DJ, there we portfolio go, or whatever.
It all started in this room, mate.
DJ right in behind him.
Yeah, the decks were the other way round, facing the other way. It's now set up for live streams, but these decks behind me is where it all started for you, eh?
That's it. Yeah. Because I went to go and see Nicky Romero at Ministry of Sound. I'd already planned it months in advance, and I dropped Matt a message and just said to him, at the time, like I'd respected him as a DJ. He's a very talented guy behind the decks, and so I said to him, I'd love to learn to DJ, and I'd been having trouble with one of the DJ institutes. We won't name them, but you probably know who I'm on about.
Yeah.
I couldn't really get in with them, and it was sort of quite difficult to arrange anything with them. So I dropped Matt a message and went to and spent the weekend at his house and just grinded for 2 days, and we just sort of got all the basics down, and then that
was it.
And then just what I wanted to do, the plan being, was to come down to you, get all the basics down, and then I bought the same weekend this setup, so I wanted to then just come back and just drill in what I'd learned from you. So yeah, mate, big shout out to you.
Well, it's production next, isn't it? That's what we said.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how I'll get my head around that, because I've been messing about with mashups on and off, and I've been trying to get back into them a bit, but sometimes it just is such a headache for me, and I'm like, ugh. I don't know if it's just because of the software I'm using, because it's probably software, it's Audacity.
Yeah, Audacity, get off it. Just buy a Mac, get Logic, and it's so much easier.
Yeah, it's so complicated. I'm trying to do all these different things. I'm like,
it's not built for that. It's not built for that.
No.
It's built for recording like podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. It's not. I started on Audacity.
Yeah. Because I was going to mention as well, in one of my previous chats, the second one that's live now, with Mark Roma, I got into how I learned to DJ, and obviously spoke about the fact that you taught me to DJ. and then he mentioned something to me, something that you guys might be working on together.
Yeah, we've got a
Would you
got a
like to
track.
tell the people about that?
Well, yeah, my whole sort of Gollo music brand. Yeah, we've got. I've got a couple of tracks that I'm sitting on. Obviously, I had the track with LV after everything came out a couple of weeks back on Thomas Gold's label. We've made like a real. We made like a real sort of groove house, sort of like Sonny James, Ryan Marciano track.
Really?
Yeah, I'll send it to you later.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It is pretty good. It's
Sweet.
and we're just waiting on them to get back to us as to whether they like it or not, and to whether they'll sign it.
You sent it to them, did you? Sorry. Or...
Yeah, we sent it to Sonny James, Ryan Marciano. Yeah, it's a
That's
very
it.
sort of yeah, it's very groovy, very
That's
groovy.
class, days. I love that.
So yeah, but it's got like a big EDM sort of break in it as well. It started out, I'd made it a few years back, and it was a big room track, and then stripped it back. Didn't really like the drop. It didn't really work. It wasn't really punching hard enough, and came back to it recently and got Mark involved. Well, Kieran, got him involved, and yeah, we came up with a banger called Takana. So yeah, I'll send it to you, and you can have a listen.
Absolutely, mate. You'll have to let me know when it's out, kind of thing, and I'm allowed to play it, because I'll get playing it in.
Well, I'll send you after everything as well. You can have a little play of that as well.
Yeah. That'd be awesome, man. That'd be awesome. Right, thank you for sitting down with me. It was a really good chat, and hopefully everyone got to know the guy behind Gollo and one half of GXD a bit better.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers, man.
Beautiful. Cheers, mate. Take care.
Nice one.